Kane. I'm your host. Thank you for joining us on Love It's Not Judgmental, where we discuss all things relationship wise. So, yes, we're glad to provide you with another exciting episode about age gap relationships. Specifically, many of the details that we share do, however, help with any type of relationship, but our focus age gap relationships. Now, when we talk about age gap relationships on this channel, we're talking about men and women who've reached their maturity level. Women between the ages of 23, 25, men between the ages of 25, 27, and older. Most of the relationships that we talk about, people in their 40s and 50s, granted, just to be fair about things. But we're not talking about teenagers. There's still some developmental stages that we feel that need to continue on. But each is good for each decision. We live out as individuals. And that's what makes the subject of age gap relationships so profound is the fact that here are individuals that get to speak for themselves. And you may not even realize, like I did not realize, that you're in an age gap relationship. If you're not of equal age to your partner, and generally depends who you talk to. Some people say 1 year is an age gap. There's not a lot of difference between a 1 year difference, but there's a big difference between 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, like that. So those are the relationships we generally talk about. Then there are larger age gap relationships, which I have many friends who are part of, and they seem to have amazing relationships together, been together for many, many decades. And we're talking, 20, 30, 40 years. I've got a great friend. It's amazing because he's 40 years older than his wife, very attractive couple. He's a good looking man. She's a very good looking woman. They actually look closer. She's actually made him look younger and he's made her look more mature. There's actually a balance. And you probably have seen that. But today, before we get started on our topic, which is an interesting topic, and I think it's a topic that we really need to discuss. Before we do all that, if you're new to this channel, you've not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to like and share. And we really do appreciate the shares. We do. I am surprised at how many shares there are. And we've also noticed by demographics that many of the people listening to this are between the ages of 34 and 54 years of age. So we thank you for allowing us to be your mentors, both men and women. So we thank you for that. But continue, help us to grow. Spread the word. Tell them every morning, 7:30, there's a topic they talk about. So like, share, subscribe, hit the notification, ring the bell so you'll know when we put up videos, because sometimes we do more than just the morning show. So now, let's get a grip on this subject. It's about how making excuses can ruin an age gap relationship. I mean, it's true. But what we want to do is drop some gems on you this morning. We want to give you some things that are useful, not just the hem ho, hem ha. No, we want to give you the real goods as to why you don't want to make excuses and own up to your responsibility in the relationship. So let's get into it. Now, there's an uncommon success that is achieved in age gap relationships. It's like fine wine. I'm telling you, as time goes on, it just gets better and better. And I'm not saying if you're currently in a relationship, break up, find yourself a younger woman. No, we're not. This is not what this channel is about. We're not even talking about making a focus if you're an older man to a younger woman. And we're also not saying if you're a younger woman, make a focus towards an older man. What we're saying is love, love. Love's love, and love is love. So if you happen to find yourself in a situation that the ages are not balanced, they're just some things that we want you to consider. So I don't have all the answers. I'm not a guru. I'm just a person talking as your guide. I'm just your guide on this road as we share information together. You have your opinion. I have my opinion based on 55 years on this planet, but it still doesn't mean I know everything. You've got to figure some things out for yourself in the most beneficial way. So we just want to provide you with a few tools. But yes, as time gets better, I hear it all the time. The relationships get better with age gap relationships. parties start to really appreciate more of what they have in one another. Now, what's not obvious in many of these relationships as they do well, and we seldom hear about, is some partners find that there's a balance between wisdom and youthful energy that leads to a lot of really good compatibility. But at the same time, there's some pitfalls in age gap relationships. So let's just be real about it. No relationship is perfect. So lurking beneath the surface of a good relationship are those societal norms, those horrible expectations that may come from family members who lack the support that you need and from friends. So today we're going to try to deal with the darker side, the struggles of an age gap relationship, because excuses versus responsibility. Listen, excuses we always say are for losers. Sometimes there is just an excuse. But do you want to make an excuse? See, there's a difference between having an excuse and making an excuse. For example, getting to work late when you know there's a lot of traffic, when you know some traffic is caused by potential accidents or accidents, and you get to work 5 minutes late. So you're making excuses. Why? Because you had enough information ahead of time that you could have made a better decision, like leave an hour earlier. I mean, what's wrong to get to work an hour earlier? I mean, I remember decades ago when I had a job, I would go to work an hour earlier just so I could relax before I started my day. And my boss was so unappreciative of me trying to be a better employee that she, seeing me there an hour earlier, hey, Marvin, can you do this? You can start the clock now. So it didn't work to my benefit. And she got there like 2 hours early. I mean, she's the boss, she's protecting her company. So we're not talking about excuses where you have all the knowledge. We're talking about things that can happen. For example, let's say you did leave for work an hour early, and all of there is an explosion. Well, see, that's your excuse now for being late. There was an explosion on the road. This wasn't something normal that would take place along your journey to work. This was something that happened. So there's a difference we're saying between making excuses and having an excuses. The whole idea is that you want to be responsible. And the way life is, you can't control everything. None of us can. It's just absolutely, totally impossible. So the core issue here is taking responsibility. I have a friend of mine, older gentleman, that I really have like a lot of respect for. He actually blames his wife for everything that he does wrong. He's older. They're the same age. They're in their 90s. And he's been a really good friend of mine for probably, I want to say like 40 years. I communicate with these people all the time, even though I'm in a different country than they are now. But probably about 40 years. Nah, let's say more like 30 years. But this is what he always says. So the other day, he locked his keys out the house. And he calls me because I'm a computer guy, even though I'm like 1,500 miles away from his house. He left his keys in the house. They go to his appointment. And he said, right after he realized that he left the keys, his wife did what she always does. She comes behind him, she locks the door, and they proceed down the steps. He gets to the car. That's when he realized that he locked his keys in the house. But this is how he told me the story. He said, yeah, uh, I locked the keys, and then Jessie, she came right behind me. No, he said I left the keys in the house, and Jessie came right behind me, and she closed the door before I had a chance to go back in and get the keys. That's how he tells the story. Now, he's not taking responsibility. And why would I use a 90-year-old couple for this? Because I'm just saying, here's my point, that problems know no bounds, like love knows no bounds. And in this particular case, exactly what happened. But he blamed her. He didn't take responsibility. Taking responsibility would have been like, I left the keys in the house. I can't believe I did it. My poor wife. I had to put her through this inconvenience, especially at 90 years old. So we're talking about that. It's easy to blame other people, but in age gap relationships, see, there's a different element here. It's easy to put blame on age. Oh, yes. If you were older, you wouldn't have did that. If you were younger, you would have been able to do this or that. But see, you can't do that. See, another aspect of the blame game, making excuses, how they can ruin age gap relationships, is people blame the experience. I just can't believe you've never done this before. Really, you've never done this before? You didn't know this? Wow, you're so young. See, these type of excuses, the blame game, there's no benefit in that. People's backgrounds, where you came from. Y'all never did this. Y'all never did that. Or you could reverse all of these. I'm only 29. I've never had this experience in my life before. But you still know the difference between good and bad and right and wrong. Or we've never done that in my family. I mean, from where I was born in my neighborhood, we never did that. See, it's about taking responsibility. But see, here's what we're here to tell you. Making excuses is like a slow poison. See, once you get good at taking this poison, it starts to corrode the foundation that you're on. And you're going to lose trust and the communication is going to go down. Sorry, folks, I'm still dealing with my allergies. I'm going to get better. It's medicine. I've got someone sent me a thing and I forget what they told me to take. I have these little things that I actually use. I don't want to show the company's name, but those little scent things, essential oils. I got those blowing around. It's just that in this particular time in on the island where I live, there's a lot of dust that flows from one continent to the next continent, and it just overtakes time to time. All right, so back to our discussion. So yes, avoiding responsibility is a problem that causes communication to just go bad. So trust and communication, these are lifelines in any relationship. Age gap needs extra care in this department. So if you avoid your responsibility, see, it means you're dodging the ball. You're dodging necessary conversations. You have to be willing to have a certain style of conversation, the ones that are uncomfortable. Now, I've got a friend I'm really close to, and one of the things I value about her is that I ask her really deep questions. She never runs. She never runs. I've had many people that I would have deep conversations with in the past, and they would just create this wall of avoidance because there was no responsibility. I am so amazed at my friend now that she's not afraid of anything. She handles every question. She never makes any excuses. And I'm learning a lot from her to make myself an even better person. And so that's why there can be a balance between younger and older people or experiences and lack of experiences and cultural differences and cultural nuances. There'd be a balance there. But if you take advantage of it, it just really allows for growth and change because if you don't have the right type of conversations and everything is dealt with in silence, there's no growth. And if there's no growth, there's no opportunity for change. So in age gap relationships, you go stronger when both parties are committed to evolving together. So you got to understand that you're an individual here, they're an individual there, together. And together you're going to come as one and you're going to evolve. That's just how it works. And eventually, the age gap becomes, you don't even realize it. But if you keep making excuses, you'll realize the age gap. See, you'll realize that she's younger than you, and she'll realize that you're older than you, and that you start going in two different directions. The idea is you want to grow together. Excuses hinder personal growth. We want you to understand that. So don't make excuses. Just deal with it. Just claim it. Even if You are not 100% responsible. It's kind of like the expression, you can't be a little bit pregnant. You though, 100% pregnant on that, take that mindset. Just claim it to be responsible because if you claim it, you can deal with it. And if you deal with it because you've claimed it, you have the right to make comments and then have conversation about it appropriately. And so your partner will do the same because one of the biggest issues about relationships, especially age gap relationships with older people, and this is the elephant in the room, is emotional baggage. See, the older you get, you've got more bags behind you. The younger you are, you've got less. So baggage is a challenge, and we all have past traumas and heartaches. But when we allow excuses to overshadow dealing with our emotional baggage, it becomes a ticking time bomb. It really does. I mean, I had a friend, really good friend, and I had future aspirations for this woman at one particular time of my life. But she had been in relationships before, and it was like every relationship gave her what she felt was the right type of excuse as to why she couldn't either have a certain type of deep conversation or she couldn't like just do simple tasks that are required in like a relationship. Um, like I like to read, I like romantic stuff, walking, talking, because of how she was treated and it wasn't real. She held on to those things. See, that's the trauma right there that needs to be let go. See, moving on is moving on. And using your past as an excuse, see, it's going to creep into other places like goals. See, we always want to move forward. We're progressive beings as being humans. So age often offer a different set of life goals. And when you get a partner that's older than you, your goals change because now you're going to be basing your decision on your partner. So one might be looking at retirement at a certain age, while the other is just starting out in a new career. Excuses for not understanding these differences can lead to frustration and resentment. Well, why are you still working? I'm retired. You don't need to do this, but I want a career. See, that conversation needs to be had and held just like yesterday. We talked about things you need to know in advance of getting married. You need to know what the plan is. Everybody needs a copy of the blueprint. Put the blueprint in front of you, you have a better relationship. So there's certain things. So you want to avoid frustration. You want to avoid resentment because every day you go to work, they're sitting at home. I can't believe she's at work. That's what he's going to say. And every day at your work, I can't believe he's just sitting around doing nothing. He's retired. See, these open, honest communications have to happen. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of lost dreams and hopes and aspirations. We all have dreams. We all have things we want to accomplish. We all have future goals and future wants. In age gap relationships, it's critical to support each other's dreams, but you got to talk about them. Got to have these conversations. Making excuses for not pursuing your passion can lead to a sense of unfulfillment, but that's on you. You cannot blame your partner because you didn't become the next Beyonce. You can't blame your partner for that. That was a choice you made. And if you had the right type of conversations, you could have won your partner over by being open and honest and saying this musical career is what you wanted to pursue. And the same thing for the older person. You just can't sit there and blame people for you not doing things that you are capable of speaking on. Because all that is going to do is to destroy your self identity because now you're not growing in the relationship, you're regressing. Yes, you're regressing. See, excuses will come up and they will overshadow you like leaves on a branch of a tree. So you're standing there and the branch is growing, and those leaves, those excuses are growing. Eventually, you won't be seen. The person who you used to be is gone until you peel back those leaves. And then you start shading and cutting down that branch. And then we can see the tree, the strength of who you really are. So it's vital for each individual to maintain their sense of self. Be you, do you. You're good at it. You're good at being the person you are inside. Losing in the relationship, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy and resentment, and that's not where you want to be. So in conclusion, age gap relationships, they have a very unique charm to them, but also they come with challenges. But the challenges can easily be avoided with open, honest communication. And you're going to hear that expression a lot in this channel that we put together with our morning shows and so forth. Just take responsibility, claim it. It's yours. You claim it, it's yours. You can deal with it, communicate about it. And we'll add this one thought. We're not saying take responsibility for somebody else's responsibility, but those things that are in your lane, those things in life that are in your lane, so you know what can come up. Everyone wise at different stages. Wise up. Go to work earlier. Leave an hour and a half earlier just to be an hour and a half there on time to avoid pitfalls. Take your responsibility. Remember, love knows no bounds. And with understanding, patience, and honesty, H-gap relationships can truly be extraordinary. So that's a wrap for the day, my friends. You H-gap love warriors. Remember, your relationship is worth every effort. Don't, please don't make excuses. Just make it better. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget to join us tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. for a new topic. Reasons not to go on blind blind dates. Just don't do it. Don't do it. So until then, keep love alive. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button, like, share, send this to a friend. Stay strong and ageless in love. Remember this. We'll see you guys on our next YouTube Live. This is Marvin Kane with Love Is Not Judgmental. I want to thank you for